The following video is an excerpt taken from a reflection given by Father Minutella on November 1st, 2022, entitled Satan in the Vatican. The link to the reflection is in the description. Father Minutella has been a fiery critic of both Amoris, Laetitia and Pope Francis. He became known in the international Catholic press in 2017 after being removed from his parish, as well as having all his faculties suspended.
Let's start with the introduction. There's irrefutable fact, my dear children, irrefutable that is, for 9.5 years, almost 10, there is a false pope on the throne of Peter. It's an irrefutable fact that in the Catholic Church for 9.5 years there has been a system of confusion, a loss of general orientation, even knowing that many problems already existed. No one can hide this fact, which has, as an official point of origin, the same false pope. And here is what no one is willing to say until the end. In a moment I will tell you. With the pretext of change, a word substituted to update, and of opening towards the spirit of the world, of course, towards dialogue. You will hear in a moment the unacceptable declarations of Cardinal Hollerich, this mantra for change, dialogue with the world, namely the fact that we must be open to novelty, that the Church is very behind. It is not true that there is black and white. There are intermediate zones. These are Bergoglio's phrases and of his closest collaborators. It is not all white, but also black. Not everything is black, but also white. This is dogmatic relativism, not absolute morality. Naturally, all of this brings us officially to see that heresy is for the first time the official doctrine of the Catholic Church. Here's a starting point of my very burdensome reflection. One could say, but we had Arianism. Now, Ario was a simple priest, also quite clumsy, like Enzo Bianchi, correct? He had no qualifications. It is true that he engaged the emperor and everyone else. In Rome, there was Pope Sylvester, who was declaring doctrine was such, and there was no deviating. Today, for the first time, this official doctrine, that is heresy, is official, because there is an impostor on the throne of Peter, placed there by these very powerful lobbies, who have infiltrated the hierarchy of the Church, according to the words of Padre Pio and Father Gabriele Amoris in 1960, who quoted, "You know, Gabriele, Satan has introduced himself in the Church, and soon he will come and govern a false church. A false church," end quote. Heresy is official doctrine. Today, the heretic is a true believer, and the real believer has become a heretic. So, to be clear in a few words, the heretic has become a true believer. It does not matter if you do not believe in the virginal conception of Mary. It does not matter if you do not believe that Jesus Christ is God. Do you understand this? It does not matter if you do not believe in the real presence of Christ. If you are 4 times divorced, 8 times remarried, but you can receive the Eucharist, it does not matter. It does not matter at all. What matters is that you are a true believer. Then you are in favor of mass immigration, for vaccines, for syncretism, against sovereignty, and that you agree to the 2030 agenda. This is the orientation of today's official believer. On the contrary, the believer that does not go along with these novelties, these new heretical styles that, I repeat, Bergoglio has officially introduced into the Church, this believer has become heretical. I'm here to render testimony to this. There exists an irrefutable fact. Satan is in the Vatican, and tonight I will not tell you that he is in the Vatican because they celebrated a black mass, or have invoked evil spirits. No. Today I want to speak as a theologian. Satan is in the Vatican. Satan is seated on the throne of Peter. This must be said. This must be yelled out. This admonishment must be given to save souls. I say this with great pain to all who in the church, like the Unacum, and I could make an unending list from the Cardinals Müller and Burke, Cardinal Sara to Bishop Schneider, from the director to the president of Faith and Culture, who many times laments the crisis of the church, but whomever says Pope Francis is not the Pope is a fool and a con man. Example is the popular theologian of the moment, pontifical preacher, if I have understood correctly, that young one, Father Luigi Maria Epicoco, who, for example, look at the weirdness, yells and officially states in his profile, quote, "Whomever says hell doesn't exist, that the mercy of God always forgives, that person is in error." Close quote. Excuse me, this is what the Pope that promotes you tells you. I will not stand for this hypocrisy. I will proclaim it, sacrificing my life. This is satanic hypocrisy. I will tell you more. Bergoglio is very happy with this rabble. Happy because the aim of Freemasons is to have them yell, but also render them completely irrelevant. Does anything change when they yell? Is there anyone that besides Father Minutella and the Marian Sodality is doing something concretely? No. They yell, they scream, they talk, they write, they denounce, but always in union with our Pope Francis. It is exactly what the Freemasons thought. In other words, yell anyway, you are irrelevant. Careful, these Unacum that go to Mass in union with Pope Francis, that say the things that Father Minutella says, but who stop at the edge and do not realize that Bergoglio and the false church is reducing them to irrelevancy. This was the initial goal, to guarantee the alliance with the devil, seated on the throne of Peter, and then let them say whatever they want. We will confine them to the ghetto anyway. Burke is himself in the ghetto. Am I wrong? Can the church be saved with continual interviews that he does? Who is Müller? Who follows him? What does Müller do for souls? Where is Cardinal Burke? What is Schneider up to? Going around the world celebrating traditionalist masses with the great mantle, if ever he wears one, and that is all? Is it this that saves the church? These individuals say, you must obey the Pope anyway. We have had times like these. No, there has never been a time like this. I'll challenge anyone to demonstrate that there has been in the history of the church a period so long in which error and heresy come from the throne of Peter. It has never happened. Never. At least not officially.